be wherever you are on your wealth journey right now. Today I want to talk to you about setting up an Airbnb as a side hustle and renting out your spare room in particular, and I'm going to take you through my 12 top tips to get your guests to really love you and give you 5-star reviews. So what can you do to help them? But first of all, I will say, guys, if you're interested in more videos on personal finance, mindset and wealth creation, do subscribe to my channel just underneath this video for plenty more just like this one. So renting your spare room, I think there are a lot of people out there, especially after the coronavirus, who haven't got very much income coming in, and it's just a really good way of getting yourself an extra income stream, and especially for those of you who are looking to start something very quickly. In this video just up here I showed you one of my buy-to-let properties, which obviously is a great thing to have if you can, but it is going to cost you a bit of capital to get it set up, and it's going to take you a long time. I normally work on a 12-week time scale to get a property and get it up and running and get it tenanted and so on and so forth, whereas with Airbnb you can literally do it in a weekend, and that's exactly what I did last summer when I listed my spare room on Airbnb. Now there are a couple of ways to rent your spare room. You could first of all look for a lodger. So that's somebody that lives with you permanently or semi-permanently. It might be just that they're there for 5 days of the week during work time, or it might be that they're living with you permanently. And my husband and I weighed up our options, and we said actually we didn't really want someone living with us permanently because we do quite value our privacy, and also we quite enjoyed the idea of just being really hospitable to people and having people for short stays, which is why we decided that Airbnb would be absolutely ideal for us. So what you decide to do will depend very much on your lifestyle. We decided that we didn't want a permanent lodger, but the idea of a couple of guests coming for a night or two really appealed to us, along with the flexibility of choosing not to have people staying with us if we had friends or family or other people visiting. I also really like the Airbnb platform. It's very user friendly, and everything from communicating with your guests to start with right through to receiving your payment afterwards is really easy. Now when you get started on Airbnb, your first goal should be to attain Superhost status. This lets your guests know that you're a very good host, because let's face it, nobody wants to stay with a terrible host. And it also boosts your listing so that more people will see it. And there are even some guests out there who only want to stay in properties with Superhost status. Now in my first month on Airbnb, I not only managed to become Superhost, but I also earned £1,000 in revenue, which is brilliant for something that I'd set up in a weekend. So today I wanted to show you my spare room, which is listed on Airbnb, and also share with you 12 things that I think will really help your guests to love their stay with you and give you those 5-star reviews. So let's go and have a look. Now we are quite lucky because we have 3 bathrooms upstairs. We have the family bathroom, we have our bedroom and our ensuite bathroom, and we also have this whole suite, so this bedroom and its own separate ensuite as well. Now I will say, for those of you thinking to yourselves, blimey, I don't have anything this big, I don't have anything with an ensuite bathroom, that's perfectly okay. You can still do this without all of that stuff, and if you stick around to the end of this video, I'll show you a very small room and how cosy you can make that. So this particular room is listed on Airbnb for £60 per night, and that comprises £54 that we get into our pocket, plus £6 that is paid to Airbnb as commission, and that automatically gets taken out of the revenue. So 12 things that you could include with your Airbnb to keep your guests happy. I'm going to go in reverse order, so keep watching to find out what the number 1 thing is that you need to provide for your guests. Number 12 is a hairdryer. So I just keep one in a drawer just like this. It's there just in case the guests need it, and I always tell them that it's there before they stay. Obviously it's not essential, but it is just a nice optional extra to offer your guests that facility. Number 11 is a guest book. Now, of course, you don't have to provide one of these, but I wanted to show you mine because I'm actually quite proud of my guest book. I really enjoyed creating it. It's very useful to be able to put contact telephone numbers in for yourselves if you're not going to be around, but also you can put in all the bits that you enjoy to do and things that you think that other people would enjoy doing. So if we have a look at my guest book, we start off with a letter from ourselves just introducing ourselves in case people don't know, and then we have our contact details and a non-smoking policy as well, very important. We've got Tico's page, obviously he's our dog and he gets his own page as well. Then we've got a bit about our hometown of Banbury. And then all the bits and pieces that we recommend. So all our favourite restaurants, our favourite pubs to go to, and all our favourite places to visit as well. We've got various cafes and things here people can visit, and farmers markets locally, castles, and, you know, general days out that people can go on if they want to. Churches they can visit as well if they want to go to church on a Sunday morning, and all the different shopping centres and so on. And at the very end we've just put thank you so much for visiting. And also on the very back cover, we have thank you for visiting, safe travels. So it's just a really nice thing, nice glossy directory here that your guests can just have a look at just in case they're not sure of anything. So this particular guest book is actually a photo book, and you can get them from places like Bonus Print. Normally people would buy these to put their holiday snaps and so on in, but with these you can actually fully customise them. So you can put all the text and everything in as well as the photographs. So with the photos of my hometown, I just went out with my mobile phone, snapped a few shots, put them all in here and just wrote a bit of text about everything, recommending all our different pubs and things that we enjoy to visit as well. Number 10 is parking. Now again, this is an optional extra, and obviously if you're living in the middle of a city, you're not probably going to need parking or even have parking. But for me, I'm in a bit more of a rural location, so if that's you, then it's always a good idea to have somewhere that guests can actually park their car and keep it safe overnight. In fact, we had one guy once that was on his way to a car show, and he brought his lovely old Rolls Bentley, so that was sitting on our driveway, and obviously quite a big car. He was very pleased that we were able to accommodate it for him. So anything like that that you can do to help is always going to be a bonus with your guests. Number 9 is breakfast. Now I would probably say that 90% of our guests don't bother with breakfast at all, so it's something that you don't need to provide, and I think a lot of guests don't really expect you to provide it. Even though it's called Airbnb, you don't necessarily need to provide it. We certainly don't provide a cooked breakfast for people, but we do have a cafe we can recommend for that. But what we do is provide them with a continental breakfast. So I've got cereal, I've got toast, jam, butter, all those kinds of things. So if people want to make themselves a little light breakfast, they can, and then, you know, that kind of sets them upon their way. And it's just a nice thing to be able to offer people if you can. Number 8 is a TV. Now I'd say if you have room for a television, then by all means pop one in if you can, but if not, then I wouldn't worry too much about it. But it certainly will keep your guests occupied and keep them happy, especially if it's raining or they can't go out somewhere. And quite often people just like to stick their telly on while they're getting ready. And I've also included instructions here on how to actually use the television as well, so that way I'm not disturbed too much if people aren't sure. Number 7 is somewhere to hang things. Now it might be that if people are coming for an occasion like a job interview or a wedding or just a night out with their friends, they're probably going to want to hang something so that it stays flat. And all we've done here is to put a couple of hooks behind the door with a coat hanger so that people can just hang things without having to worry about them. And that way I haven't got to put in big bulky items of furniture like a wardrobe, which will clutter up the room and is also quite expensive as well. This is all they'll really need, and if they're only staying a couple of nights, you know, that's all they'll really want. And leading on from that, number 6 is a full-length mirror, because we've got the mirror already in the bathroom, but it's always good, especially if people are going for an occasion, to actually look at themselves full length. So we've put a full-length mirror behind the door. It just keeps it tucked out of the way, and at least if people want it, they can have a look at themselves and see what they look like before they go out. And that leads us on to our top 5. So the top 5 things that you need to provide for your guests that will really make them feel comfortable, and it's kind of also what they're expecting. Number 5 is tea and coffee making facilities. Now you can choose whereabouts you put these. Now you could put them in the bedroom itself, but I personally have cream coloured carpet and we're upstairs here, and you know, I don't want that to get messed up, so I've got all my tea and coffee facilities in the kitchen, and when people first arrive I'll just show them around, show them where to find everything, show them how to make a cup of coffee. It's just a normal Nespresso machine, so it's very easy, and they can just help themselves. And it's always a good idea as well when your guests arrive to just offer them a drink, a cup of tea or coffee. Quite often they'll have come on a very long journey, so they'll just be really grateful to have a cup of tea or a hot drink when they come in. Number 4 is towels, particularly fluffy towels, because let's face it, nobody enjoys drying themselves with a crispy towel. Now the best way that I find to achieve a fluffy towel is to tumble dry it. Now I know that's not the most environmentally friendly way of doing things, but if you guys know of any other way that I can get a fluffy towel without tumble drying it, do let me know in the comments underneath, because I'll be really interested in that. Otherwise you're leaving it out to dry somewhere, which is going to make it crispy and not quite as nice and fluffy as these. Also make sure that I give guests 2 towels each, so there's a big fluffy bath sheet here, and I also give them a smaller, what I call a hair towel on top of that as well, because I'm never quite sure whether they're going to like a bigger towel or a smaller towel, whether they're going to want a big towel for them and then a smaller towel for their hair, you know, whatever it is, I like to give them the option. And the way that I work this out is that that's the way that I like to do things. In my bathroom, I have a big towel and a small towel, and it just works really well for me. So I think if I like it, then surely my guests are going to like it. And what you'll find is that they don't always use both towels. Quite often it'll be one or the other. So you've always got the spare one there. Number 3 is a clean bathroom. So if you can provide them with a bathroom, whether it's an ensuite like ours or whether it's a family bathroom that they're sharing with somebody else, as long as it's clean, you'll be okay. A bathroom can be old, it can be an avocado bathroom suite if you want it to be, if that's what you've got. It can be really dated. As long as it's clean, you'll still get those 5-star reviews. One of the biggest reasons for people not leaving a good review on your listing is because of cleanliness. So you really want to make sure that you're going through everything, but I will vacuum everything at least twice before guests come. Make sure that it's really, really nice for them when they get there. As I say, it's all about the details, especially when it comes to the cleaning. So make sure that you're doing the corners of the rooms, the skirting boards, the behind the door of the bathroom, all those kinds of areas where kind of grime and things gather, but you might not necessarily notice it, but somebody else definitely will. So just make sure that that's all okay. And I also include little bits in my bathrooms, things like wash towels, one for each guest, and also glasses so that they can get a glass of water or they can brush their teeth or whatever with the glasses. Now these glasses were not expensive. In fact, they were old Nutella jars. If you buy the 200-gram jars of Nutella, you get these glasses, and I thought they were really lovely, so I put them in my guest bathroom. I also provide them with a bath mat, and I have up until now been providing them with shampoo and things, but I might not do that after COVID. I'm going to kind of wait and suck it and see on that one. Now in this bathroom, because of the lack of natural light, I've got a nice big mirror in here, because again, when you've got a small bathroom, a nice big mirror will make it look more spacious, and it's got lights at the side and underneath to compensate for the lack of windows in here. There is one thing that I absolutely hate when I go to hotels, and it is not having the right lighting to be able to do all my makeup and everything. So make sure that you've got good lighting so that people can actually see what they're doing. And the other good thing about this mirror is that it has a demister as well. Now I've been to a lot of hotels, obviously you know that I speak and train all over the place, so I'm going to a lot of hotels, and one thing that drives me nuts is when I'm having a shower, everything steams up, I can't even see, and there's nothing that I can do apart from wipe it with a tissue, and it's just not the same when you're trying to do your makeup and everything. So if you put a demister in there, you can make sure that people can still see themselves even if the place is really steamy. Okay, the number 2 thing that you should be providing for people is a comfortable bed. So make sure that it's nice and comfy. Now, how do you do that? Well, I personally have slept in this one myself to make sure that there are no lumps, bumps, dodgy springs, anything that's going to stick into me in the night. And I just think that's a really good idea to do that just before your guests come for the first time, just to make sure that it is a comfortable enough bed for them. You also want to make sure you have clean bed linen. Now I've chosen white for this particular room because I wanted to go for that nice plush hotel look. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, and I'll show you in a minute a room of mine that doesn't have white sheets in it, but you want to make sure that these are nice and crisp and clean, and I would normally do this as a completely separate load of laundry, not with any of my own home washing. I would do this completely separately, so it's a separate thing. I normally keep 2 sets of bed linen as well, one for the people that are there now, and just in case I have people that are coming later on the same day that they're leaving, I will have a separate set that I can immediately put on. Otherwise I've got to worry about washing it, drying it and getting it ironed and everything else, which is just too stressful. So make sure that you've got at least 2 sets just in case you've got other guests coming on the same day. Now after COVID, I'm not sure if we will have guests coming on the same day as other ones are leaving, and I certainly know a lot of people who are going to have at least 2 or 3 days in between guests just to make sure that they can do an extra thorough clean. Now I always do an extra thorough clean anyway between guests, regardless of whether they're coming on the day or not, and you should be doing that and keeping your place really clean anyway. But if you're worried about anything, I would recommend definitely leave a couple of days in between if you want to. Now the particular bed linen that I use is hotel style, so it's got little strings at the bottom. The last thing you want to do if you're in a big hurry for anything or you've got guests arriving any moment is to worry about doing up poppers and zips and buttons and so on. The strings are just really easy, you just tie them up and just leave them and tuck them underneath and they're fine. So that's the bed. And then the number 1 thing that your guests will expect that you need to have spot on and top end if you're going to expect good reviews is your Wi-Fi. Now your Wi-Fi is super important. It is one of the first things that your guests will ask you about the moment they walk in through the door. They're like, what's your Wi-Fi code? Okay, so you need to make sure you've got that. I put mine in a prominent place just underneath the television in the room, just so that they've got it there. In case they've forgotten to ask me or anything, they can immediately log on. So I would say it's definitely very important to get the best Wi-Fi you can get. Now, if you're in a rural location and your Wi-Fi is poor, then I would suggest boosting it with a dongle or a booster or something like that, just to give them an extra bit of oomph so that they can actually check their emails, you know, get their WhatsApp messages and so on. So those are the 12 things that you really want to concentrate on to make your guests feel as comfortable as they possibly can. I will give you a bonus tip as well, and that's that some people do actually leave their guests a little welcome pack, and that can include things like a snack, a bottled drink, little bottles of shampoo and so on if you want to. Now that will eat into your revenue, so it might be that you don't want to do that, certainly in the beginning, but then as you build up and you get constantly good reviews and you've got more and more guests coming, it might be something that you want to consider. Because as I've said before, the devil is in the detail, and if you do little things like that, that is the extra little added things that guests will really, really enjoy and leave you 5-star reviews for. Now, as I've said before, if you don't have a massive room like this one, you can actually do this with a very, very tiny room. Again, you just want to make it nice and cosy. So this is my smallest room that we have. Now, I haven't listed this one on Airbnb, but if people come, and I've had once a mum and daughter, and they came, and rather than them both sharing the big bed, I said, well, why doesn't one of you have the small bedroom and one of you have here, and then you can share the ensuite and do it that way? And they absolutely loved it. And again, that was just a little extra thing that I gave them. Now, with this particular room, obviously it's very small, it's very cosy. You can see that I've kind of made it a bit nicer with the nice lighting. I've got a nice bed linen in here, not white, but just a little bit different. And if I was going to let this on Airbnb and actually put it as a listing, I would put a mirror behind the door again, just so they can see themselves full length. I would also add hooks behind the door as well, just like I have in the big room, so they can hang things up. I could put a hairdryer in a cloth bag and hang that behind the door as well. So the space you have doesn't have to be massive, so long as it is cosy. My husband and I both really enjoy having guests for Airbnb. We really love it, and now we've got loads of stories to tell as well, so it's a fantastic way to make a bit of extra income using the space that you wouldn't be using otherwise. And it's just a really lovely thing to be able to welcome people to your area and help them and make sure they have a lovely, lovely stay. So do let me know in the comments underneath, guys, if you found this video helpful, whether you want some more videos on Airbnb, because I'd be happy to do some if you do. And in the meantime, do watch these 2 videos next of all, because they will definitely help you with your wealth journey. Subscribe to my channel as well if you haven't done that already. And in the meantime, guys, stay safe, and I will see you in the next one.